speaking of programs, it's 6:10.
Nice segue.
Thank you. So 6:10 is when we get started. Um, Normally, I would ask one of the other board members. Hi, I'm Brooke, by the way, your current president. Um, which I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever get old enough to not giggle when I say that. Anyway, normally I would ask Susan, our vice president, to read the mission statement or another board member, but Susan is in another class that's in person, so I told her I'd take up her banner tonight. So we start out with a mission statement just to kind of orient us towards why we're together and why we do all the things we do. WIVLA's mission is to provide an inspiring forum for women to explore and advance their creative development, to promote their work in the marketplace, and to infuse the community with their spirit of cooperation and invention. Yay! So also on her list of announcements is just to let you all know and kind of keep it on your heart and your head that we are currently seeking candidates for the 2025 board. As you guys probably know, we rotate board members and we like to keep it fresh by having some new members on the board. So that we can maintain the energy that we have for the mission statement and also to innovate and collaborate. So if you are wanting to serve on the board and work with like the coolest women out there, I highly recommend it. Let us know if you're interested. And we'll give you more information about how much time is entailed, what the responsibilities are, that kind of thing. I think that you can look out for that invitation in the newsletter. Margot always reminds us what we can do and who to contact in that newsletter. So keep an eye out for the next one that'll come out on October 1st. All right, and then I pitch this over to Melissa, our membership chair.
Hello, everyone. Good to see you and welcome. I'm not sure if we have any new members on tonight. Wave at me if you joined in the last couple of weeks. I know it was exciting. We had 4 or 5 new members join in July and a couple in August, and we have one that just joined just a few days ago. So that's always fun to see. And just a friendly reminder to take a second and update your member profile on the WIVLA website, and just so people know who you are, or if a fellow member is trying to connect with someone, or we've got our collaboration underway, but people are always trying to find out, okay, well, who does visual or who does literary? And so updating our profiles is always good. And I'll move right into our 30th anniversary, which is coming up October 24th. I hope everybody has it on their calendars. It's from 6:30 to 8:30 at the Cloister Gallery. It's going to be a lot of fun. We've got some great activities that are planned for the evening. The catering is going to be fabulous. So please make sure that October 24th is on your calendar. And speaking of catering, it'll also be really helpful if you would use the calendar on the website and RSVP. It's a free event to our members, but that really helps us know the head count for the food, and of course the most important thing, the wine, and all those kind of details. So RSVP if you would. We've got some great sponsors that are helping with the event. A lot of members, and I'm just going to read them off because I can. Mildred, thank you, and Shirley, and Melody, and Kathy Crawford, and Sally Worthington, and Brooke, and Margot, and me, and Gwen, and Kay McStay. So thank you for pitching in. We need some more funds because we are not skimping on the event. We are having a wonderful meal and a wonderful time. We've also got some great corporate sponsors or in kind. The Cloister Gallery, which is down there at Christ Church, is donating the space for us to use for our 30th anniversary, which is just awesome. But also like Texas Art Supply in Montrose. They're supporting us. Go get your art supplies at Texas Art. We're going to get some donations from Jerry's Artorama. Please go visit them. We've got the French Farm and we've got Right Space. So anyway, lots of people are chipping in because we do wonderful service to our community. And again, I'll plug for if any of you would like to donate. There's lots of ways to do it. Zelle is super easy. You can send us funds. You can go to the website and check that out. And then I have one other announcement, the adornment party. And what that means is the theme for our 30th is Pearl. And we thought it would be a lot of fun to get together on Sunday, September 29th. Again, this is on the calendar on the website at Rosie Turnbull Studio in Sawyer Yards. And we're going to adorn, whether it's a hat or a scarf or a pin or a whatever, with pearls. And we're going to have a lot of fun. We'll have the glue guns going and pearls and sequins and you name it. So please, if you can, join us for that. I think we also asked for an RSVP on the calendar as well, just so we know how we can set up the room and all that kind of good stuff. If you're planning to come to the 30th celebration, well, then also join us at the adornment party so you can, deck something out fun to wear. Obviously, you don't have to make it on September 29th. You can make something at home, whatever you want to do. I'm always in a baseball cap. I feel like I somehow need to adorn a baseball hat. Who knows? Who knows? Anyway, those are my announcements. Did I miss anything, Brooke, or anyone have a question?
One thing, there is limited space for the adornment party. So it's a maximum of 20. So we're half full right now.
Oh, good to know. Okay, so if you want to join the fun with your glue guns, go ahead and sign up so we have space for you. Thanks, Melody.
Since you said about our glue guns, should we plan on bringing any materials or is it all provided yeah.
You know what? We'll have most of the materials, but yeah, if there's something specific you think you might want to use, always extra glue guns are good. But I think most of the materials we're going to be providing. Is that right, Melody?
Sounds yeah, right, but you're certainly, if you want to bring something, gosh, I just picked up like a whole bunch of pom-poms the other day from someone who's moving out.
And like Michael's was having a big sale. Ooh. I picked up a little string of pearl, who knows? So if you have something fun you want to bring, we're not going to stop you.
Yeah.
Awesome. I am going to put my Margot hat on, which is not easy to do. Margot is fabulous. And in her absence, I'm going to make the announcement about the Pearls of Wivla campaign. Hopefully you have seen in the newsletter these wonderful Pearls of Wivla contributions that people have made where they talk about what they have gained in their experience of being with Wivla, what brought them to Wivla, whatever it is. Keep an eye out in the newsletter for that for examples, but please take a picture of yourself wearing pearls of some sort if you can, and contribute your own Pearls of Wivla. It's another way to serve our mission in this beautiful community that we have, and make those connections. And even though our 30th anniversary event is in October, we're going to keep those Pearls of Wivla going. So don't feel like they have to be in before the anniversary event. It'd be great if you did, but Margot's fired up to keep them rolling in our newsletter beyond that. Also, any other thing that needs to go in the newsletter, announcements, different things that you want to celebrate. There's always every month a 20th of the month deadline to get things to Margot to get it in the next newsletter. So keep that in mind. And she loves it when people send pictures. She's very good at going and finding them if you don't, but it makes her job easier if you send them to her along with whatever announcements you have. All right. I think that's everything Margot wanted me to say. I'm going to pitch it over to Shirley or Marie for the visual arts update.
Okay, I see Marie just arrived. Welcome, Marie. Before I'd say that I saw that June, I think it was June, who sent a message saying you have to bring something to the adornment party to adorn.
That's good too.
Okay, I just wanted to mention that because we might show up with our glue gun, but not know what to glue the stuff on.
Good point, June. Yeah,
Good.
so
Yes.
a chapeau of some sort, a scarf, a pin, a tie. Yes, you're right. Something that you want to adorn that you're going to wear the evening of the 24th. Thanks.
All right, so now we're moving to the collaboration. And I know we have visual here tonight too. So Marie and I have collaborated on getting wine and all this. This is all happening on Friday the 20th, 5:30 to 8. Sabine Street Studios, 1907 Sabine Street, which is not attached to the main Sawyer Yards buildings. It's at the corner of Spring and Sabine, correct, Melody?
But no, you'll go in the wrong door if you do that. It's on the corner of Spring and Silver.
Spring and Silver. Okay, well, you go in the yellow door. The yellow door is on the west side of the building. There's a parking lot in front of it. But I think we're doing really well on. We've ordered chairs. We've ordered tables. We've got everything ready to go or pending being ready to go. So I think it's going to be fun, and we hope to have a lot of people. I had a couple of friends tell me the other day they're coming, and they saw it on Facebook. So I had no idea. Anyway, come to the collaboration. And literary, what do you all want to say?
I want to second that. Come to the collaboration. And then literary has some events coming up also specific to literary. So Author Palooza, the conference, is going to be October 4th through 6th. October 4th is the kickoff, and it's the book launch of the anthology, which we hopefully have some members in. And that will be at Brazos Bookstore. Then the rest of the conference, the 5th and 6th, is at Rice. Also, Haunted Holidays is coming up November 9th. That's also at Brazos Bookstore. And our November member meeting will feature readings by probably our literary members, although visual, you're definitely welcome, on the theme of Pearl to go with our 30th anniversary. And the signups for both Haunted Holidays and the November meeting reading are live on the website. If you go to the calendar and find the event, the link to sign up is there. And some of them are filling up. So if you're interested, I would get that done. And that should be it for literary.
One more thing about the collaboration, the parking lot at Sabine Street is pretty small, so you can park across the street at the Spring Street, down the side and the front, and they've also got parking in the back of the Sabine Street building.
Awesome. Thank you for all of that fun and exciting stuff. I'm calling it WIVLA's event season right now. I feel like there should be like a hashtag we should start or something. Like, we are rolling now.
Yeah.
Starting on Friday. All right, and now I'm going to kick it over to Jean and for the introduction of our fabulous speaker for tonight. I feel like we need like a huge round of applause, not only for Bridgette, but also for the weather to not keep her away from us one more month. Thank you for your persistence.
Unmute. So I get to introduce Bridgette. And I met Bridgette at the TAEA, the Texas Art Education Association conference several years back, because she presented there and she had her book and she had some of the models of the pieces for Evelyn Park. And I was just so amazed with all of it. And then the book was awesome to the point that I bought 2 copies and gave one to a friend. And so I've been waiting and waiting and waiting to get her on here. And finally the weather cooperated and here she is tonight. So here she comes. Bridgette, you're
Wow,
on.
what an introduction. Thank you so much. And I feel all the creative energy from y'all.
Yeah.
Isn't it cool? Yes.
Mhm.
I have my daughter here who is a co-speaker, and we've started speaking more and more. I hope everybody can see my screen. Everybody can see it okay? I take that as
No,
a
you're
yes.
not sharing. No,
I
you're
didn't
not
share
sharing.
it. Button didn't take. Now, can you see my screen? Yes?
Yes, that looks good.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Terrific. I can move you guys if I need to. I'm here with my daughter, who has also been speaking with me, and you'll see why. It's just amazing. I'm a spiritual person, so I just step back and go, I can't believe how God has woven my life together. I could never have even thought about doing it this way. So some of you know me because I'm the sculptor of the Alice in Wonderland sculpture. If you haven't seen it, I definitely advise going. And if you would like to go as a group and I can tell you some things about the sculpture, I would be more than happy to do that. I also talk a lot about STEAM education, which is science, technology, engineering, art, and math. Because Alice in Wonderland, I use so much technology with her, it makes it an easy flow. So it's also, STEAM plus literature. And this is the scene. It's a very large sculpture of the Mad Hatter Tea Party. It's called Move One Place On. You can bring your lunch and have lunch there. And all of the characters from the book are there. And in some instances, there's some things, like I said, this teapot is very particular. There's 150 things hidden in the sculpture in honor of the anniversary. So if we set something up and I can come and talk to you all there, I can show you some of these things. It's pretty incredible. It's my magnum opus. And I kind of go, I did this. I had a lot of help. I had like 12 interns, so. And if you're looking for it, I don't know if you've been, it's on the corner of Bel Air and Mulberry Lane. And the 610 loop would be down here. So it's right on this corner right here. There is parking here and there's a little bit of parking over here. But if you go to the park, the church across the way, like Ketty Corner over here, has agreed to let park participants park in their parking lot so that they can come to the park. This now, number 11, is a water feature for the kids, which is quite nice. And I was at the Texas Art Education Conference, and it's very interesting because that thing is just in my head a lot lately because it was a pivotal point, and you're going to see why in a moment. I'm both a sculptor, an artist, and an author. I used to write for Sculptural Pursuits on a regular basis way back when. I was very honored to do an article for Sculptural Review, which I would assume is kind of like our peer-reviewed journal for sculpture. And I did a book with my husband, my ex-husband, Digital Sculpting with Mudbox. And I just want to say, nobody should do a book with their husband. I just wouldn't recommend it. And then the other book, which you were talking about, is the 3D Technology and Fine Art and Craft, Exploring 3D Printing, Scanning, Sculpting, and Milling. And I have to say, I'm very honored that if you look at this book up, there's like 60 citations from around the world to this book. And I was just writing what I was learning. I'm working on a new book. When you called me this week and you said, could you do it this? And I'm trying to get everything out to the editor for the total layout by Wednesday of next week. So I was like, oh my God. And then I have to say that I'm trying to learn InDesign as I do it. So my brain is way too old to be learning a new program, but I found this really cool instructor that, or organization that you can pick any instructor for anything that you need to learn. And it's really helped. The book, One Foot in Front of the Other, Art, Hiking, and Healing, I'm going to go through some of the stuff that's in the book. These three things are pivotal for, and it kind of culminates with the Texas Art Educators Conference. So a lot of people may or may not know that I've sculpted a lot of entertainers. B.B. King was one of those. And yes, he did come into my house. And you could see me sitting next to him. There's a story in the memoir about how I said to him, Mr. King, I have to touch you during the sitting. And he said, oh, darling, you're already touching me. Mr. King, I don't know what you're talking about. My hands are in my lap. He said, oh, your thigh is against my thigh. And believe me, the thrill is not gone. So it was just a really cool experience with him. He's one of my favorite that I've ever sculpted. I also had the opportunity of doing Bill Monroe. Bill Monroe is to bluegrass what B.B. King was to the blues. And you could see how young I am. These pictures, which was probably to my advantage, being a little hot young person to get into some of these things that I had to get into. But this is the sitting with Bill Monroe, and Willie Nelson doesn't have this sculpture anymore. The IRS confiscated it for his back taxes. I also sculpt deceased loved ones, and one of the things that is exciting me is that my daughter has started a publishing company. And now with this publishing company, I'm going to be able to publish some of the books that I have. I might have 10 or 15 books, and I have never done anything with them. I don't like looking for editors. I don't like looking for agents. I had an agent right before COVID who wanted all my different types of books, and he got COVID, and then it went away. So I'm really glad that my daughter started this publishing company. She can tell you more about that. But I sculpt deceased loved ones, and it's really strange. I talk about in Bringing to Life the Spirit of the Deceased, A Sculptor's Journey. I talk about the strange occurrences. I talk about the empathy, helping people grieve, celebrating life, etc. I sculpt big. It's like sometimes I sculpt too big. This is foam, and I put clay on top of it. There's lots of up and down. It's very physical. I have been writing more lately, and I'm really surprised at how sedentary writing is. I have to set my alarm to go and get on the treadmill. I mean, it's just, I would sit in front of my computer and just write all day long. So where this is really physical, a lot of up and down. I'm going to see if this will go. When I say it's, I work with digital technology. This is one of the things I do. I have CNC foam. So I sculpted it small and I 3D scanned it. Then I sent that file to somebody, and then they start doing the CNC milling, which CNC stands for computer numerically controlled milling. And then they send the foam back to me, which I can carve on. And then it acts as an armature. So we're used to do the pointing up process when a long, long time ago, people would do all pointing up, and they still do. This is so much easier. So it cuts so much time out of my my work. I also sculpt small. And so this is actually one of the hidden things that's in the sculpture. This is the White Queen, and Alice is fixing her hair. There's something really special in the memoir about this that I didn't realize until I started writing the memoir. And this is my mother as the White Queen. So when you're looking for the 150 things, it's not just where, what it is, it's where they are, how it relates to either the author, the illustrator, Tennell, or myself. And so it's kind of those three things as well. The park asked me for a list, and I said no, because I'm trying to create creativity and encourage creativity. I am not going to give you a list. Curiosity. That's what Alice was all about. This is actually a 3D scan of the entire park. They did two types of scans. They did this one of the entire park, which I hope to work with kind of a college or somebody that will help me to make a educational thing, virtual reality with this one. And then the other one that they did was actually, let's see if I can scan, with a blue light scanner at night with very expensive equipment. And they scanned Alice, and this is the scan of Alice when it was done. So what I'm going to do with these is I have the rights to reduce them down and do a tabletop version. And of course, some of the detail won't translate going small, just as some of the detail going from small to big doesn't translate. But this is what a 3D scan looks like in the computer. And actually, that scan of Alice that you saw, I'm working on a book about her being a children's book about her being trapped in the computer and she can't move. And the whole thing revolves around the education about 3D technology, but from the viewpoint of Alice. I'm really excited. This is the original, and this is the 3D scan. And this is the mesh the underlying geometry that is in the scan. We call this decimation, making it so that you can make less geometry, but still keep the detail. And when I talk about technology, this is a brand new one. I just got back from Colorado, and this one was done in Colorado. I never touched the clay. I did this whole thing inside the computer. I sent the file to a company. They 3D printed it and infused it with wax, and then they made that into a bronze. And you'll see why that's so important when I tell you more about my story later. But this was huge and pivotal for me. And this process, not only, is it helped me say if I get old or I get sick or whatever, but also it opens up huge doors for me because I can create monumental pieces that I would never think of doing and do them in this way. And really, it's quite fast. I mean, this process probably cuts down maybe 5 or 6 months out of it takes maybe a year to do a life-size bronze, and this could cut out 5 or 6 months. So it cuts out a lot of time. My publisher did ask me to do 3D technology, a second version, and I started to do it. And it's all going to be about Alice, but I told him I have to wait till the memoir is done. But then this came in July 19th, 2024. Taylor and Francis, who is the publisher of this book, shocked after Taylor and Francis sells access to their research to Microsoft AI. So basically, for $10 million, Taylor and Francis sold our books to AI, and we got nothing. And we weren't even told. So it kind of put a damper on my feeling of even wanting to do the book. Although, as my daughter says, Mom, you're going to do a book, you get to interview artists all over the world, and your artwork is going to be put out there, and somebody's going to pay you for it. So there is that too. So at the keynote, being the keynote at the speaker, Texas Art Educators, if you remember, it wasn't very well attended, or not as well attended as it could be, because Harvey happened just a couple months before. And it was pivotal for me. I don't know if you were there, and if you were there, you might have seen I was coughing a lot. And I prayed and I worked really, really, really hard to get to this conference. And you'll see why. But let me give you a little timeline. That was 2017. In 2016 of December, I went through a divorce. And I also went into the woods, and I told my daughter, I called my daughter and I'm saying, I'm going in, this is my location. You have my GPS. And she would say, okay, great. I know where to tell them to find the body. But she said, Mom, you got to start a group. And I met a woman in Santa Fe because my foundry changed to Santa Fe, and she was hiking with a group. And so I just started a Facebook group. And today it's hit 18,000 members in Houston, Texas, which blows my mind. But not only does it blow my mind, but it has helped me, because when I was trying to find myself after my divorce, it was my second divorce. I was married twice, M1 and M2, we call them, 2 mics. I would look at single women like most researchers would look at a wild animal on the Serengeti. It's like I'd be going, oh, well, she's walking into a dark house at night, turning all by herself. I mean, it floored me, because I was divorced before, but I had a child. I never lived by myself. So I had to learn how to do that. And one of the things I decided to do was I was going to go camping. I was going to solo camp all by myself from Santa Fe to Texas, through Texas. And the memoir talks about trying to find myself at this time in my life and what this camping experience was like, both some of the things that happened that were interesting and some of the things that happened that were like, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe those happened. But I did it, and I'm so proud of myself. 2016 to 2017, if you know the series of unfortunate events, 2020 had nothing on 2017 for our family. Sign my divorce papers and take off with the Ellis molds to Santa Fe to the foundry there. 2017, my daughter's house burned down. She can tell you about that. That was like February. March, the foundry that has all of my molds and everything for Alice goes under, and the IRS is going to shut them down and lock the gates. Harvey hits. I made it to Texas Art Educators, but 2 weeks later, I was in the hospital. And a few weeks after that, I was sent to the doctor, and they gave me 2 years to live. So thus the reason why I wrote a memoir, because that was my journey through my sculpting and through Houston Women Hiking and to now, and how come I'm still alive. So art, you heard about the art, the hiking, and the healing. Let's talk about it some more. This is actually me at the foundry. I had to go with a flatbed truck. It wasn't like I could put the things in my back pocket. And we had to go and rescue all the pieces of Alice in Wonderland and bring them back to Texas. I also had to pay the foundry, even though they had $80,000 of mine. I had to pay them to get into the foundry to get this out. It was horrific. They say the bigger they are, the harder they fall. And this was hard. And, you know, with all that stress that was going on in 2017, I think it's interesting. This is a lung and this is a tree. What happened was I got very sick, and I was just diagnosed with lung disease. Could have actually started from my art, some materials that I worked with in the past. There is a form of interstitial lung disease or pulmonary fibrosis that is done with clay, potter's rot, they actually call it. But mine doesn't present itself that way. But that's the disease I have, interstitial lung disease. And they said if it was idiopathic, I had 2 years to live. And so I just kept hiking, but I had to hike with oxygen. So I still hike with oxygen in the back trails. When I go to Colorado, in the foundry in Colorado, I have to have oxygen 24/7. But now I hike with oxygen. And it was interesting because I think my hiking with oxygen and my story has inspired so many other women who would get into the woods and go, I can't do this. And then see me put my oxygen on and they'd go, okay, maybe I can. So it's been transforming not only for me, but for other women. And I think that energy has just gone through Houston Women Hiking. I also bought myself a kayak, and I kayak now. And my daughter has a paddle board. Houston Women Hiking has a all-women camping trip twice a year, and it's a sacred event. And this is one of our sunset paddles that we do. And I hoist that thing up into my van, and I hoist it down, and I'm just going, my theory and the theme of the book is that I'm just living all of the life, the most that I can for as long as I can, because you just don't know how much time you have. And these ladies were crazy, but we do it. And I'm just so grateful for them. And you know what they say, you know, hiking's good for you because it increases muscle tone, improves your sense of balance, good heart and respiratory, helps depression, anxiety, and stress, sense of community. It also, science has proven that being around trees is good for you. There's a whole science behind that. So if you are in that point where you need to be healthier and you're writing too much and you need to get off your butt like I need to, get started, sign up with Houston Women Hiking, check our events. Anybody can create an event, but there's a lot of events happening all over the city. I lead a mindfulness hike, which is really more like a walk in the Arboretum every Monday. And then I do the back trails of Memorial Park because I'm centrally located. But we go all the way from Galveston to Montgomery County. We have a very large footprint. And speaking of feet, if you don't know how to start, you just put one foot in front of the other. Thus the name of my book, because that's what I've had to do. So I was in the hospital and I had this commission that was like, you have this long courtship with a commission. And this thing came through the day I went into the hospital. And for me, it was like God saying, I got your back, because it was also of a sculpture of Eve, the matriarch of matriarchs. If I needed a powerful source and something to focus on, that was it. The photograph on the right is his daughter. He sent me that for inspiration. The photo on the left is my granddaughter. My daughter took that picture. So those two things gave me the inspiration to go forth with Eve. And this is me doing headstands. I kind of do headstands anywhere I can, because I can. But we had to move the entire studio. So my interns and I moved the entire studio wagon by little radio flyer wagon into a warehouse or storefront from my client. And I worked on that. And at first, when I was doing it, I was going up and down. I was wearing oxygen by the time. You can see my oxygen concentrator right here. But by the time I was done, I didn't need the oxygen to go up and down as much. So that is what she looks like. She's in Generation Park over by the Beltway. And I took my daughter. Unfortunately, she installed right as COVID began. So we never had like a grand opening or, hoopla with her. So I asked my daughter if she would come and bring her friends, and we would all distance. And in these pavers, because I was writing, I was blogging about it and Instagramming, and women would send me powerful sayings. And I wrote it on the plastic in the studio. And then my client saw that and said, that's great. So in these pavers are sayings from women. So I invited my friends to come, and they were taking pictures of the pavers with their feet on them. And then this one I gave my daughter. I had a package on top of this one. And this one says, we are stronger than fire. And that's my granddaughter, because my daughter is one of the, I'm not going to cry, guys, one of the strongest women I know. And I'm so glad her name is there. I'm so glad that saying is there, because she has proven over and over again that we are stronger than fire, and what she has come through and all that she has done is just an amazing thing. I love this woman. So while I was working on Eve, I got a call from the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League, and they wanted me to do Penny Marshall, one of the first women directors. Now, again, 6% of all women, or of all the sculptures in the United States, are real women. And here I was getting a commission of Eve, Penny Marshall, and it continued on from there. So it was like I was gaining strength from all of these women. And they invited us, and my family came up to the museum and to their reunion. And we had a baseball bat. My daughter got to meet, these are the original players. There's not many left. And I'm sure many of these are probably deceased by now, because this was a few years ago. But my daughter would collect baseball cards from all the ladies, and she got to meet them, and they signed a bat. And it was just one of the most profound experiences. Some of you may know Norma Zenteno. I had the opportunity of doing Norma Zenteno, but I had a really hard, and this is one of the first Latino female sculptures in the city of Houston. I had a really hard time capturing her essence. And it talks about it in the book. And this was because one day I just walked in and I said, I can't do any more. And they came back out, and the whole head had fallen off and been on the ground. And I think what it was that one of the reasons why I had such a hard time with Norma is I believe I came at a time, Norma was the same age that I was when I was diagnosed. And I think I was working through my issues of death and leaving my family by working on Norma. And I don't know, you have to read the book to find out about the rest of that. She was on display when she was done, and then she was put away in a closet until she was installed. But I love these two pictures. This is her granddaughter, who never met her grandmother, and this is her mother holding her. So I gotta love what I do, man. Yeah, I sculpted some dudes since then. Because dudes are just the thing that most people sculpt. This is Booker T. Washington, and this is at the high school on Yale Street. And we're trying to find, I have the rights to Portend, so we're going to try to sell some more of those Booker T's. But this kind of gives you a size of what I look like, a little Oompa Loompas. Anyway, I like that picture. And I also did Howard Hughes. The Howard Hughes Corporation commissioned me to do Mr. Toff. If you don't know who he is, he did the Cynthia Woods Mitchell Pavilion. He also designed and was the architect for some of the University of Houston. So, and Galveston, he worked with the Strand in Galveston. So he was very influential. And this is in up in Conroe. And at the same time, I also got to collaborate with some women. This artist did this for Coretta Scott King. What I collaborated on was these microphones that, these bronze microphones that sit in there with a real microphone in it. And then this one I don't think has been installed yet. This is actually going in another one of these. And the reason why, I think I think Hulu was doing this because women weren't honored. They wanted to see more memorials for women. If you don't know who Marjorie Stoneman Douglas is, she saved the Everglades. I didn't think that it was possible that anyone would want to put an airport in an Everglades. I always thought that, like, when people would say, "You want some cheap land in Florida?" that was just a joke, but apparently it was true, and they wanted to make an airport, and she saved the Everglades. So this hat sits next to a chair, which is another in one of these type of things from another artist. The one I'm working on now is so exciting. It's of Grandma Gatewood, and if you don't know who she is, in 1954, at the age of 67, she was the first woman to hike the Appalachian Trail solo. If you don't know anything about hiking the Appalachian Trail, it takes about 6 months. She did it with nothing but like the sack kid shoes. She had like a shower curtain in here. And she not only did it once, she did it 3 other times after that. So she's a very strong woman. And not only that, but she came from a very dysfunctional family. Her husband was abusive, almost killed her twice. And she left him, went for a walk, and never went back to him. It was after her kids were grown. So they're trying to raise the money at grandmagatewood.com for me to do this sculpture. And I'm so excited about doing her. And so I have to say that when you go through, and you'll have to read the memoir to know all the other ins and outs, but when you go through something like I've gone through and you start to get healthy, you're trying to get more healthy, but you still have this hanging over you of that, you know, any day now or whatever, it could get worse. Doctors want to give you medicine and all that stuff. I have found that hope is really important. And there is nothing that has given me more hope than what I'm going to tell you about right now. I've been teaching my granddaughter writing for about 3 or 4 years, started during COVID. And she has really become an incredible writer. She's 11 years old. And she is going to have her first book published. Her book and my book are coming out together. And my daughter, Christina, is the illustrator for that book. And it's called See You in the Woods, Fun Activities for Kids. And my daughter has done 2 hiking journals. And then we've got my book, One Foot in Front of the Other, Art, Hiking, and Healing. So we started to do like scholastic fairs and speaking together, all 3 of us. And it just has enlivened something in me. It's just given me hope for a future, given me something to look forward to. And I'm ever so thankful that this is how God wove my life together. I'm also very, very thankful for my daughter. And I'm going to hand it over to her because she can then go through the rest of this. She's going to talk about, we do marketing workshops together as well for the arts. And Chris, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, you tell me when to I'm going to mute myself if I can. Can I mute myself? Or maybe not. I don't know how to get you off of there now. Oh, well, you guys might just have to stay up there. You're going to live up there from now on. Okay. Okay, you ready, Chris? And introducing my incredible, terrific, amazing daughter, the woman that I just have so much respect for, Christina Sizemore. Yay! Woo, woo, woo.
Thank you. You can go to that first slide. Not that one.
Well, you got to talk about that, Chris, because I didn't.
Oh, sure, can do. So, a little bit about what I do. I'm an artist. I'm a marketing consultant. I'm also a writer. And so before COVID happened, I was doing this really great thing where I was teaching marketing classes and they were free. And the facility paid me to come in, which was great because all these small business owners could come in and got to teach them about social media marketing and branding and all of these beautiful things. And then COVID happened and it kind of, did what COVID did. But that's something that we're doing again, is really talking about marketing in the arts and how to talk about yourself, which is really tough. Especially as an artist, you do these like very intense things that have so much emotion attached to them, for most artists anyway. And then you have to talk about it in front of people. So we teach a lot of that, which is a lot of fun. And a huge part of my heart is just to see other people succeed in what they love to do, which is a weird place to live, but I love it. Anyways, you can go to the next one. So my background is I grew up with this lady. So I grew up in the art world. It was just normal for us to have clay, or me to sit and on a drawing class and talk to the nude model as all these people are drawing. Like, that was my childhood. I went to HSPVA here in Houston and studied art there, which was an interesting experience, because it was just this deep, intense place but I also had this mom who was making money with their art, and there was a level of learning and going through this where I was made to feel I couldn't make money with my art, that it wasn't really art if I was making money with it, and I wasn't just creating it art for art's sake. And it was traumatic for me as an 18-year-old kid who now has this huge portfolio of photography and printmaking and painting and video work, because I went into this direction with my art study, and trying to figure out, like, okay, well, now I'm supposed to go to college and I'm supposed to make money, but you're telling me I can't make money. It was just this really weird space. So I ended up going and getting a degree in advertising and public relations, and really kind of got into graphic design and all of this. But at the same time, I'm like, but I'm classically trained photographer in a dark room with black and white film. And I love this. And I also love painting, but I also am doing this graphic design thing. And I had this like very, for the very beginning of my career, there was this like push and pull of like, who am I? Am I a portrait photographer? Am I a marketing consultant? What the heck am I? And then I became a mom and a wife and a homeowner and all these other things. And I was really trying to figure out who I was. And I think we never arrive at who we are. We're just always kind of on this journey of figuring it out. If you feel like you've arrived at who you are, I feel like you're lying to yourself. Like, we're always changing and moving. And so you can hit that next slide for me. So in 2017, one day it was all gone. My entire life's work was gone. All of my equipment was gone. All of my files were gone. Everything gone. And it was awful and horrific and terrible. And we have done a lot of therapy. I'm very open about the whole thing. We'll get to that. Open about talking about it. But from an artist perspective, every photograph I'd ever shot, every bit of painting, all my supplies, my cameras, my film cameras, my digital cameras, it was just gone within like a 2-hour period. And while it was horrific, and it still like kills me to this day that I don't have those things, it gave me an opportunity to kind of look at all of these things that I'd always struggled with, of like, who am I as an artist, as a human being, as a person who's putting creation into the world, whatever that looks like. And it allowed me to kind of bring things slowly back in. And so I started writing again. First off, it was the first thing I did the next night, or the night of, because it's trauma and you have to get it out of you. And so I did it by writing. And then I bought a new computer pretty quickly and started to I borrowed my mom's computer for a couple days. And then a really great guy, if you're ever looking for a computer, Expermax, West Houston, he heard about a story. He's a friend of my dad. And he was like, let me just let her borrow a computer for a couple months. And I was just like, what? You're a stranger. But so there's a whole story and all of the fire story in itself. And it's a book I'm currently working on. But I brought things back into my life slowly, and I really got to choose what came back. And so I bought a camera, but it stayed in the box for 6 months because I couldn't like come to opening it. But I also started to look and try new things. Like, I really wanted to, you can go to the next slide, by the way. I really wanted to explore doing something beautiful with fire. So I took a silversmithing class, which was really incredible. And then I had a friend who did a lot of woodworking, which I had done in high school a lot. And he was like, oh, I turn wood. I can teach you how to do it. And so like I'd go to my friend's house in my neighborhood in his wood shop and we'd turn wood, which was, if you've ever turned wood, it's exhilarating and terrifying all at the same time, because like at any point this thing can fly off and if you're not careful, murder you because it's sharp, splintering wood that's going everywhere. So I was experimenting in all of these different art fields and at the same time writing, at the same time healing, because we're in therapy. My husband and I are both, he was in the house. There's many people don't know why he's alive. He shouldn't be, but he is. So we're dealing with PTSD and we're dealing with separation anxiety and all of these kinds of things on top of rebuilding our house, on top of explaining all this to our 4-year-old, on top of losing everything. And so I started the strongerthanfire.com. It's the blog. There's a lot more things there now, but it is the very, very raw version of our story of how the fire happened. And it eventually will be a book. But it's kind of my creative outlet. So we really love to travel and I love to take pictures of traveling, and that gets put up there. And it's this art, travel, writing, plus this experience that we've gone through all in this one place that becomes this outlet for me, which I really just love, and it's close and dear to my heart. So it was 2017, which my mom talked about was kind of a trash year for her entire family. That was happening in February. We signed with a builder as Harvey was hitting Houston. So that first day Harvey hit, we signed a builder. Our house hadn't been demolished yet. It rained right into it, all of Hurricane Harvey. And then hired our builder. We were rebuilding with everybody else. And that builder in June of the next year walked off the job before the house was done. He had been paid in full. So we had sticks. We had no utilities. We had no brick. We had no doors on the house. He had played this game of, oh, well, I can't get doors because everybody needs doors, which, there was some truth to, but in the same time, we're trying to rebuild and all of this. And Harvey, my primary income, I've been a marketing consultant and graphic designer working for myself for the last 15 years. And so when Harvey hit, it knocked out all my clients. So I lost all of my clients the same time that we're trying to rebuild this house. Within a couple months of Harvey, everybody was just like, we flooded and we can't afford you and that kind of thing. But what ended up happening was it gave me the ability to rebuild our house. So when our builder walked off the job, we took it over and we did it all ourselves. We had friends come over on the weekends and said, can you paint? Can you hang a door? Can you install tile? Can you sweep? And friends would come over on the weekends. We'd buy pizza. We had coolers of drinks and snacks. And I became a general contractor and we finished our house, which I'm sitting in now. But I think the thing that as horrific as the whole fire thing was and that whole experience, it really gave me an opportunity to accept that I can be multiple things. I can be a writer. I can be an artist. I can be a painter. I can be a mom. I can do all of these things. And I got to pick what came back into my life, which has been really, again, horrific, but also special at the same time. And so Stronger Than Fire is that piece. And then you can go to the next slide. I really started to look at my business and my career and what I wanted that to look like once we got back into the house. So timeline wise, that's October 2018, excuse me. And I thought, I don't need to be a general contractor anymore. My house is done. What do I want my business to look like? This marketing and all of this. And it was my maiden name and it was named after this. And I really kind of picked it apart. And I thought, what is the root of what I do? And it's the art of communicating your brand. And I think for artists and writers, that's yourself, which is tough because you have to look at yourself and it's a sell. But for companies, it's the heart of what they're doing. And I really, that's what I was doing in every logo I created, in every website I created, in every bit of copy I wrote for a client. It was the art of communicating their brand. And so I started to really shift how I worked and got new clients, which was really great. And then 2020 happened and we all got shut down. And I was like, well, this is a great time to rebrand. So we rebranded as Market Creativity, and it's the art of communicating your brand and working on strategy to reach potential consumers, whatever they may be, and also producing that visual identity that speaks to the audience, which is the art piece that I do. And this is some of my work on the right. My biggest thing right now, which has been really cool, Haven Go is one of my clients. It's a smart device that's coming out that it tests your air quality in your home and gives you lots of information like CO2 and allergens and all that. It's not out on the market yet, but it's coming. They brought me in to rebrand, which was really, really fun. And then this logo, the Haven Go logo, is on a race car now. So it's like not on my bucket list for a career item, but I got to check it off anyway. So, but that's really the heart of what my marketing business does, is we really try to get to the nitty gritty of why people are doing what they do. Why are you opening this restaurant? Why are you opening this company? Why are you writing this book? Why are you trying to sell this painting? Why are you even creating this painting? And try to take that in the heart of what people are doing and bring it back to the consumers that are looking for that thing. So I love what I do, and never in a million years did I think that I would be in this place. I think the interesting thing about the marketing work that I do is when I graduated college, there was TV, print, radio. That was it. And now we have social media. And now we have all these different things. And it's allowed me to take all these little bits of things that I really love to do, like writing, and I get to copyright for people, like art, and I get to create brands and identity and work with color and color theory and photography and video, where I'm then creating content for clients. So it's weirdly all just kind of like woven together into this thing that I really love to do. So that's a little bit about me. On the last slide are the 2 books that I've got out. The hiking journal is simply just a journal to track where you've gone. Because I was looking for one and I couldn't find one. And so I made one. And then the Texas State Park Journal, we are avid hikers, avid campers, big travelers. I really got into the nitty gritty of where our Texas state parks came from. And this is a whole other speaking thing that we've done, but it's all women. It's women to thank for our park system when you get into the history of it. And it's really quite incredible that these women, you know, in the 1920s, when they're just getting the right to vote, did this incredible campaign. And now we have a park system at a time when nobody even knew what a park was. And so the Texas State Park Journal is a way to record going to all those parks, because there wasn't that and I needed it, as well as a little bit of information about the parks. I'm working on a series about the history of the state parks that is probably going to go in a podcast format, because these women that I've read about are just so incredible. But that's who I am and what I do. This lady is amazing, and I don't know if she's to my right on your screen, but she is on my. But she's paved a road for myself and my daughter to do the things that we do and be confident in what we do and all of her work. So I'm very thankful for her, and I thank you guys so much for letting us chat with you.
Thank you. And also, I have to say that the speaker sheet we have, it's like 3 generations of writers. It just blows my mind. And there's some of our information. Thank you guys so much. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
Mm-hmm. Right. Christina, did you answer all the questions that came up in the chat? I saw that
there was a question, Mom, on the kind of clay you're using. I didn't know the name of it. And is there a crack problem?
I use classic clay most of the time because I have used wet clay before, and I like wet clay, and it has some advantages. And every now and then somebody calls me for a portrait bust that must be done and they're going to pay a god awful amount and they can't go bronze, but it needs to be done in whatever, however many weeks. And I've used the regular clay, which would be a water-based clay. I like it with grog, but most of the time I'm using a classic clay, and I can reclaim that clay. Right now, my intern has got to lay out body parts in the sun and scoop off the clay. So a little bit of that, Eve has been in everything, and a little bit of Mr. Toff has been in everything. So yeah, that's the type of clay that I use. Were there any other questions? I wasn't paying any attention.
Current foundry.
I go through foundries. I don't know. I just have really bad luck with foundries. Right now I'm using, in Houston, I'm using Legacy. There's a tiny foundry. They did Toff. And unfortunately, I'm going to Colorado to do because there's not many foundries that will do the 3D tech and fine art stuff, that will do the 3D printing to investment casting. So the foundry, Art Foundry of Colorado, which really is just an incredible place. Everybody should visit that. Anyway, they did that piece, and they did a portrait bust. I've asked for, I asked my 3D printing company if they could give me a foundry at a lower altitude. And they said they've had a lot of requests, but nobody's ever requested that. So there is another Texas foundry that I'm going to try. But I seem to run through foundries, and I'm not quite sure why. But yeah, so those are the foundries that I'm using right now. Any other questions?
The book on 3D technology I'm confused. Is that something you're still working on, or is it already published?
The first version is out there. It's been out there since 2015, although some of the stuff, when they asked me if I would do a revision of that book, when Taylor and Francis called and said, we do a revision of that book, I said, it's not like you could just put different pictures in. It's technology. It's going to take some time. Plus, I want to, like we followed the Grambling Tiger through the whole book, we will follow Alice in Wonderland through the whole book. And I went and found 75 different artists from around the world to feature in their work. So that will be in the revised edition. So the 2015 edition is out, and it still sells, and it's doing really well. And the new one, I don't know. It's just, it's just, when sculpture takes so long and books take so long.
Tell me about it. That's my main beef is, God, it takes so long. I have to paint just to keep from going crazy.
Yeah, it takes so long to do work that, and when you've had that brought to your attention of, you only have so many years left, you go, well, like when someone told me that, I said, well, I don't want to be civic club president. So, you throw things by the wayside. And I would really like to do more writing. I've written children's books, but I've never produced them because I was afraid that I didn't feel like I was an illustrator. But I think that learning InDesign and figuring out how to lay out this book is going to open up doors for me. Inspirational, creative doors in my head. I think that I will start to see it, and I will be able to do it. So I'm really excited about that. Did I answer your question?
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm struggling to go from the 1 foot scale to the 3 foot scale, and it's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was another question in here. What is the name of the organization you mentioned where you found the instructor to help you with the InDesign instructor?
Why is that? Because I went online and I went to like the InDesign, Facebook group, and I said, does anybody know InDesign? I'll pay you to teach me. And I had like all these people from another country contact me, and I said, I don't feel comfortable with that. And then I just did some search, and I found Wyzat, W-Y-Z-A-T, I think. And then you could go and you can look through all of the instructors, and there is even some type of background check that they do on the instructors. So that's how I found this guy. And here's the thing, this guy is a publisher as well. I mean, he's published books. So not only did I find somebody who knew InDesign, because floating around on YouTube to find the answer to one question 20 minutes later and 3 advertisements is just not the way I want to spend my time. So I sit here and I write down all my questions and I go to him and I say, okay, we got an hour and a half because that's all my brain can take. And he'll answer all my questions. And they also record the session. The sessions are available for 30 days. So and it's because he knows publishing, he's also able to tell me some things about publishing the book that I wouldn't normally know from just doing it myself. And he knows Photoshop. So if I had problems, he knows it all. But you can, I mean, if you were an instructor, you could go on and do whatever. They have lots of different instructors, but I was really impressed to find Wyzat. And I mean, the guy's not cheap. He's $75 an hour, but that's okay. It's definitely saving me time by hiring him.
You're a good dog.
Any other questions?
Hi, Bridgette. I just want to say hello. And it's really nice to see you. This is Donna Durbin. And hi. I've known you for many, many years, but thank you so much for sharing your transformational journey and all of your, and that you're still here. Yeah, it's just quite incredible, your technology and what you've learned and how much you've grown and your family and everything. So thank you so much for sharing it all.
Oh, you're so sweet. Donna and I go way back. Way back. Thank you so much, Donna.
Yeah, when you hang around a long enough time in Houston, you recognize, you remember people before their names were what their names are now and all kinds of stuff. But I remember when you first wanted to start doing sculpting.
Yes.
And you hadn't even started it yet. And I'm so just amazed at all your commissions and all you've done and everything. It's just exciting. I do have a question. Did you see the Kehinde Wiley show at the Museum of Fine Arts?
I'm sorry that you broke up. What?
The Kehinde Wiley show at the Museum of Fine Arts?
No.
Well, when you were talking about being able to do the sculpture and just do it all, and have somebody else, you didn't even have to touch it. Somebody else is producing it. He had the most outstanding bronze sculptures. And for a young man, he's 47 years old now. The volume of work that he's done, he has all these studios, and I kept thinking, there is no way this guy's able to sculpt all these things and get these done. So it's technology that is opening the doors to so much creative energy and production that it's very exciting. But he's somebody, yeah.
It is. And it's funny because a couple commissions came through and I went, I really don't want to do these. But then I thought if I could do them in digital, I'd have them done and I'd have enough money to live on for a year and a half. Let's just do it. It's like, I don't have to love all the art. Let's just do this digitally and get it over with and move on to the fun stuff. So yeah, it has opened up a lot of doors. And the other thing is that because of the books, people are now contacting me about being a consultant. So I can help them get their work through. And that makes, there's a lot of money in that. So I'm all into passive income, especially if I'm not sure how much longer I can do what I do. I really don't know. So the doctors tell me I'm getting worse and I just kind of go, yeah. So thank you so much. And what's funny, Donna, is to sit here and talk to people that you've known since the 80s that are artists. And Judy from the clay shop and I do this a lot. And we talk about, remember the 80s when we would do anything to make money? It's so funny to hear us being mature artists and where we've come from. I think it's funny.
You just never give up. I mean, part of it is just never give up. Right. Just keep pivoting, keep shifting, keep wherever your passion takes you. And it's exciting to see your journey and all. So I still want to go to your hiking thing. I haven't joined it yet, but I will.
Thank you. Oh, it's so cool. So incredible.
Okay. Can y'all hear me? Am I unmuted?
You're unmuted.
I'm a member.
Is that a Houston Women Hiking group? Oh my God.
Signed up for the weekend. I'll be there. I've met you last year, and anything that has to do with hiking, climbing, and riding, I'm all for it. But tonight, to see that you were going to be the presenter was really exciting to me because I have been doing a lot of traveling, and I just came back from hiking Kilimanjaro in Tanzania, Africa, about 4 weeks ago, about 8 weeks ago. And so hiking, walking, and I'm a writer, I'm a poet, and I've poured it's just so refreshing to know
You're
that
such a
you
goober.
not just
Goober. You're a goober.
a writer, but you're also believe in the power of walking and nature and how transformative it is, you see. And that's what I've been, and it's giving me hope as I'm going into a new venture in my life, retirement pretty soon. And it's like the unknown. And my passion is to continue to do walks and hikes, climbing, and to continue writing and public speaking about the power of walking, and I intertwine it with my poetry. So it's just good to know you can make a living doing it, and you got to work at it. You can't give up, but you can do it. And Christina, are you going to be at the Women's Weekend? Are you going to be?
Yeah.
Then I'm going to talk to you about marketing and branding.
Got it. I know you. You are friends with Moonshine Tammy.
Yeah, we've been friends about 15. Yeah, I'll be at her campsite, 151 across from y'all,
Oh, yeah.
147. So
Oh,
it was a
yeah.
pleasure seeing y'all.
The all women's camping trip is kind of a
Oh.
combination between
Yeah.
it's kind of a combination between a trick or treat, slumber party, cabaret. I don't know how else
Yes,
to
right.
describe it. And it's very sacred, and it's
Yes.
the connections that are made, the things that happen there are just, I've never experienced anything like
I
it.
haven't
Well,
either.
there's a thing called trail magic that it happens on the Appalachian Trail, and Houston Women Hiking has trail magic in spades.
Yeah.
And it's just been blessed. So yes, it is an incredible space. And also I have to say that one of the things I like about Houston Women Hiking is it doesn't matter where a woman is in her life. If
Yeah.
she's little and she's got kids, then she can also be, she can have a mom with kids hike, or if she's got a dog and she wants to hike with her dog, she can do that. So it's for everyone. And it also amazes me that we have women that say, does anybody want to go to Kilimanjaro? And then a bunch of ladies want to go, or, hey, their tickets are cheap to Colorado. Let's go hike a mountain and come back on Sunday.
I've done that.
I just go, I mean, I could never do that because I could barely breathe going to Colorado, nevertheless hiking a mountain. But that's the type of spontaneity, and that's the type of things that are happening through Houston Women Hiking. And I feel so blessed to be a part of it, and that I'm with my daughter and a part of it just blows my mind. Hike like a girl, lady.
Mhm.
Anyone else? Questions, comments, thoughts? Well, thank you very much. And thanks, Chris, for being here with me.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. This was
It was
fabulous.
excellent.
Yeah,
I
great
enjoyed it.
presentation.
Enjoyed everything. I really thoroughly enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Bridgette, I have a question. You spoke at a WIBLA meeting maybe 15 years ago, long time ago, when we met at the Printing Museum. And at that meeting, you were telling us about your upside down Christmas tree that hung from the ceiling. Do you still do that?
Yes, we haven't done one since before COVID. But Chris, look at Chris. Mom, this year.
It's happening.
We are
It
going
has
to
been
do
far
one.
too long since we hung a tree upside down from the ceiling. It is time.
Yeah. And basically, for those who don't know, we have an upside down Christmas party. It's kind of an art show Christmas party. We hang the tree in the studio upside down, and you will be privy to the secret. We decorate it with anything on your person, in your car, or found. And those ornaments, unless they're like pickles that are going to go away because they're going to rot or something like that, stay on the tree year after year after year. And it's been very interesting to see. I mean, I have business cards from friends who are deceased. I've been doing this since you were a little girl, 80s something. And I think my favorite is the watch that the man took off his hand. He came from Afghanistan, and he hung the watch on the tree. And so yeah, there's a lot of skeletons on the tree. I think it's because it comes so close after Halloween. That's what people have in their car. But yes, we do plan on trying to do it this year. I may wear a mask, but we'll do it because I'm very cautious. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both of y'all. It's really a great program.
Yes.
Great program.
Would you put the link for the Facebook hiking group in the chat? I got on a little bit late and I don't know if you, let's see, you
will.
you put it in the photograph.
Yeah, Chris, are you still there, Chris?
Yeah, I'll throw a bunch of links up there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
It was pretty easy to find, but you have to answer a question.
Yes,
It's
answer the
really
questions.
easy. It's really easy.
That keeps everybody safe. That, it helps me to know that there's a real person. If you say you saw me in the Wivla and then you don't answer anything else, I'll go, okay, I know this person. But I actually had somebody that said, I'm a robot and it doesn't really matter if I'm female or not. And I said, why would a robot say that? He said, delete. So, yeah, and we get 50 to 100 a week.
Wow.
So I say 18,000, but we're getting 50 to 100. So we keep growing. I'm just amazed.
I noticed this year that you're saying families. And last year you didn't put the word families. Are you wanting men to come? Is it going to be still basically just women and their daughters?
No, the family camp out is for families. It's for your uncles, your fathers, your moms. It's a chance for, and that's the interesting thing, because I remember when Christina and I and Isa were doing a scholastic event and the father had like 3 girls. One was on his hip. I mean, they were all under the age of 5, Chris. I don't remember. And she was giving them the Texas State Park manual and saying, these are all the parks you can go. And he just looked at her and went, I could take my girls hiking and camping. Yeah. And it blew his mind that he didn't realize that he could do that. And sometimes it's just that families want to know there's support there so they can try to do it on their own again if they haven't done it for a while. And that's what we're there for. The women only, and everything by default in Houston Women Hiking is women only, unless it's in the headline. But the all family, we do once a year, usually around this time. The all women, we do twice a year. And there's about 80 to 100 women that come and take over a campsite. And what is said around the fire stays around the fire.
Wow. What an incredible presentation by both of you guys. Like my head is spinning in so many different directions. The inspiration down, like, not to be too punny, but down different pathways as far as the creativity, and yeah, all of it sounds so fulfilling, and even, just the practical aspect too of considering marketing for creatives as well. I mean, this was a very comprehensive presentation with lots for us to chew on afterwards. So thanks to both of you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I am so glad that we finally got you on here.
Yes.
I've been trying since April, I think it was. So
wow.
It's really good to have you here. Thank you so much.
I hope you ask us to come back. And please, if you know anybody who wants speakers, let us know. We will do a package deal with my granddaughter as well. She's really excited about speaking.
All right.
So, yeah. So there's a lot of different venues, especially with that. Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. Jean, would you like to fill us in on a couple of programs coming up?
Let's see. Programs coming up. I think in December, well, we've got the writing is coming up in November, and we're going to do the speaker for December. We're going to talk about I'm trying to think, Smither Park. I was just working on this today, and we're going to have hopefully Sharon Plummer, who is the mentor of the rest of us who are working on this thing. She's sort of our authority figure. Then there is, I've got to set it up with Bridgette, but I want to do the visit to Evelyn Park. And there's discussion going on about having a tea party with Shirley and Ann Lace to go over and and sort of in connection with going to see Evelyn Park. So we'll go over and see all of Ann Lace's dolls, which somebody mentioned to me today. They might have 2 new dolls for her. Ann, are you on here? She's on here. I know she is because I saw her in the chat.
Yeah, she's there.
I can't see everybody. I can only see 12 people at a time. So there's that. And well, there's so much going on. It's hard to fit anything in right now. So I'm doing what I can with that. We'll see.
And I'll jump back in. Kelly Ann Ellis is going to be doing a workshop for us on October 27th. It's going to be via Zoom. So whether you're in Houston or not, you can participate, but that's all about revising poetry and prose. That is on our calendar. So you can sign up through the WIVLA calendar. It's from 2 to 5 on October 27th.
And
then
the blackout poetry.
yes.
Yes, please mention the blackout poetry.
Yeah. And then on October 14th, I will be doing a digital blackout poetry workshop. And by digital, I mean we're using digital technology to do blackout poetry. Primarily using Procreate on the iPad and PixArt and some other apps. It's from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. at Grackle and Grackle, and that is also on the WIVLA calendar, so you can register through that. For both of these, make sure you sign in to your WIVLA account first before you sign up, because you will get the member discount for the registration on both of those events. I've also decided, I'm kind of throwing this on people a little bit, but if you miss the last blackout poetry that I did for like tactile, messy materials, I realized I can double up on my instruction, because a lot of the beginning of it will be how to do blackout poetry. And I think I can like keep everybody going on the digital, but also for those who just want to do it old school, I'll also show you how to do that there as well. So we can hit both digital and analog. I don't know what to call the other, but there's that. I want to stop talking because I want to leave us time for member announcements. So does anybody have any celebrations, announcements, exhibits we haven't talked about yet that they'd like to share?
I have one, which I'm just odd enough. I'll be doing a workshop again at REI off of 45 on November the 9th from 1:30 to 3. And it's talking about my theme about walking around the block. I'm going to be talking about my latest adventure, Kilimanjaro, but more importantly, the overall theme is how walking around the block, being outside it can transform you as an individual, as a human being. And I'm using poetry, and there'll be a PowerPoint. And so REI is sponsoring this which is going to be November the 9th from 1:30 to 3. So I do have a QR code. So if you, I have everything. So I have everything. So I would love to see some of y'all show up. It is on the south side of town, but I would love to see some of y'all at the event. I also did the same event last Saturday at the Dolores Fendrick Nature Center in Pearland, and it was a good event, and I'm doing it again. So hopefully that's November the 9th from 1:30 to 3 at REI Baybrook Mall, which is really in Friendswood, off of 45, and that's it. So I do have I don't know if I need the code. I don't know how to do it. I'm not technologically savvy, but I'm getting better.
Okay, Gladys May. So this is going to be really similar. All the content and everything is the one you did last week, right?
It's a similar content. Yes, it's
But
it's just different audience.
Send me the location information. and I'll update the calendar. I'll put it on the calendar for the 9th.
Oh, thank you.
And I highly recommend Gladys's workshops. I've been to 2 of them, so she's really wonderful as a presenter.
And you'll be able to still have time to get across town to go to Haunted Holidays.
Yes.
Okay. I'll send you because I give it. Okay. Thank you, Melody.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
I have a question. How many of us got into the journey into time? That's for the book launch? How many of us are published in it?
Well, I
Rebecca,
think
Rebecca is, and I am. I don't know who else. Are there any other Wivlins in it?
I don't think so, but I don't
Is
know.
Margot in it? Maybe Margot.
I don't, you know, I briefly saw the list and I don't think
I haven't
so.
seen a list, so
But I've seen the emails where we're all CC'd, but I didn't sit and try to pick out
Yeah.
like who it was. But maybe I'll do that right now, like now that you mention it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Melody, did you announce your small show, the small show at Lee College?
Oh gosh, I forgot about that. Well, it's not my show. It's not my show, but I'm in it. It's an invitational. It's called The Small Show, and it's at Lee College in the same place where we had the collaboration a couple of years ago now. Elena Perot is the one that organized it, and she is another amazing woman. We know so many. She built a small replica of that whole gallery, the inside space as well as the outside space, down to little itty-bitty tables that are outside the doors and everything. And so it then is on a table that's inside the gallery that's glassed in. And you can walk around it all. No piece in this exhibition is larger than 3 by 5 inches. And so you just walk around it. I feel like it's the borrower's art gallery. I don't know how many people grew up reading the borrowers. I think I read all the books. Yay. Okay. But it's so cool. It is, I can't remember how late it's up. I'll have to post something on our page. It's up in October. So it wasn't just a 1-week show. They had a reception, oh gosh, right before, let's see, must have been the 7th, because it was a couple days before my anniversary. So yeah, it was that Saturday. So it's a nice show. I recommend you go see it. Unfortunately, it's not open on the weekend. It's Monday through Friday, but it's really cool.
That's good.
Oh, and one other event that hasn't been mentioned is on December 8th, we have a holiday party. Because we like parties. And we like to be in person. And it will be at Silver Street again. And that information is on the calendar too.
Yes, I gotta get that. Yeah. Whipple loves parties, you know that. And all the guests. Right, we do like parties.
How are we going to collaborate if we don't party together?
Right.
There you go.
Oh, thank you, Donna. Thank you. October 11th, the small shows up through the 11th. I sent her all the information, but didn't have it.
Okay.
I mentioned it to somebody else at the museum when we were at the museum, and because we were looking at, it was the show that's up right now. I think it closed, but it was the guy that did all the reproductions of these like rooms and stuff, but then he took a photograph of it, and then you thought it was the real room, but actually it's a reproduction of the room. And so I wish he'd had some more scale models or something to do. But anyway, we got talking about miniatures and what that process was. So your name came up.
Hopefully not in vain.
And you've announced the show at the Sabine, right? The show that's up right now, the collaboration.
Right. Yeah. But that was one of our earlier announcements before the meeting started. Yeah, our reception's this Friday. The big readings and everything. There'll be plenty of chairs.
5:30 to 8.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else have any announcements? Things they want to share? Yes, Kathy, go.
Oh, I just wanted to say, I just got an acceptance today from the Bayou Review for a story that I wrote and submitted. So it'll be in the fall journal.
All right.
Wow, wonderful.
You're on fire,
Yeah.
Kathy.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
It's exciting.
That is
Yeah.
beautiful. That is,
Sally Worthington sent me a thing today from the Orange Show. They have the Surreal Craft Project coming up on September 22nd from 11 to 4. And you get to go and make things with them. You'll have to look it up on the Orange Show's website. But it sounds like a whole lot of fun. And they're always a lot of fun anyway. So that's my last thing.
Awesome. Okay. Anyone else? All right, I think that we can wrap it up, and let's give another round of applause with our maybe unmute yourself. Let's show
Yes.
yeah.
Yay.
Wonderful. Thank
Yes.
you all so
Thank you.
much.
It's wonderful.
Thank you,
It
Christina.
was wonderful.
Thank you, Christine. Yes, Christine, yes.
It was awesome.
It really was. But just
It was worth the wait.
Thank you. I guess I'll,
Definitely.
yes, I've got a chance to
Most definitely.
work the wait.
Let's hope I
Yes.
can come back in another 15 years.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to just put it
Oh.
on the calendar. Melody, how far ahead does
That's
the calendar
right.
go?
It was pretty far. Yeah. I was like, we'll see. We'll try 15 years.
Love
Thank
it.
you.
We don't want to wait that long.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you all very much.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
All right, I hope to see y'all
See
Friday.
everybody.
Bye.
Yes, I'll.